So today didn't go quite as planned.
Okay, so never mind on the castle that's behind us. So another never mind.
We're finally in the torture chamber. This is one of the weirder audio guides we've ever experienced.
You heard a satisfying splash when your small turds fell into the water.
Good morning, guys. This is my wife Aubrey and I am Donnie, and we are two Americans currently living in Germany and sharing all of our experiences living there as well as traveling throughout Germany and Europe.
So this morning we drove from Bruges, Belgium over to Ghent. It was about an hour drive, and our first stop here in Ghent is we're going to see a castle. We just drove by it as we were looking for parking, and it is the most castle-y looking castle, so we're really excited to explore it. And what we've heard about Ghent is that it's similar to Bruges, but it's a lot bigger of a city, so we can already kind of feel that as we're walking to our first destination.
And then also we have a free walking tour, a huge cathedral that a lot of people will recognize things from the movie Monuments Men. Then we also have a huge bell tower and a lot of other exciting things that we're going to check out in this city. So follow along and let's see what all we can find here in Ghent, Belgium. Okay, so never mind on the castle that's behind us. We just arrived there, and I think it's just because of coronavirus times right now. You have to buy tickets in advance because they can only let a certain number of people in at a time, and we didn't know that. So we weren't able to buy tickets until this afternoon. Luckily, there were some still. So we're gonna go back in the afternoon, and in the meantime, we're gonna go check out the cathedral instead. So another never mind. Apparently you can't get into the cathedral on Sundays until 1 o'clock. I really thought I did a good job at actually planning this day. Apparently not so much. But luckily, another thing that's on our list is the Belfry or the Belfry. I need to check my pronunciation of that.
Belfry. Belfry.
And that's right across from the cathedral. So that is actually where we're gonna start our day now. Eventually we're gonna see some stuff. Okay, now we have made it into our first site for the day, the Belfry.
Belfry.
It was started being built in 1313, I think is what I saw. Anyways, we're gonna walk up here now and do a tour of this. It cost €8 a person to get inside of here, and you don't have to have a reservation.
Why do we always find these really tall bell towers?
Oh, it's straight now.
Oh. What is that?
I don't know.
We made it to the top! So because of the virus, they are separating people out and how many can go up at a time. So we pretty much have it to ourselves right now. And you go around, you don't do a complete 360. It's like a square up here. So you just go to the different sides, but there's a beautiful view everywhere you look. It was kind of hard going up the stairs, but really not that bad. It honestly was way faster than I expected to get up here. So maybe we're in bell tower walking shape now.
And from here you can see the castle that we're going to later, but you can see how like it's right in the middle of the city. It's not outside of the city at all. So that's kind of cool and unique, but it looks like the city built up around the castle, which makes sense in my head, but oftentimes the castle is like way up on a hill or outside of the city, so it's really cool that this is right in the middle. We're in one of the rooms here in the tower. There's a huge bell right behind us, and then also some big weights, I think for the mechanisms of the clock. But what was really cool is we didn't plan on it, but while we were up at the top, we had just come down from the viewing platform, and inside there you got to see kind of how the bells make music, and right at noon we were in there and the huge mechanism started going and the bell started playing. It was really cool seeing because it works just like one of those little tiny music boxes where you turn the handle and it flicks to play the song. Exact same mechanism. They spin, they flick little pegs that pull strings that then ring the bells over the whole city. I never knew how they actually did that, and I guess that's how this one does it. Really cool getting to see that. Really kind of luck that we didn't get to see the castle and we didn't get to see the cathedral yet, so we got to see that, which made it all worth the planning problems that we've had this morning. Right, Aubrey? So we just got done with the Belfry.
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 And honestly, it's okay. The view was really, really cool, totally worth paying for, but in terms of the museum itself inside, it wasn't like super exciting. It was mostly just about like how they make bells and stuff. So there's a few rooms that you could see the bells and everything. But other than that, not a whole lot to check out. But now we're gonna move on to the free walking tour, and the free walking tour is something that we love, 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 and we always talk about in every city we go to. So that's where we're actually gonna see more history about the city now.
So I just wanted to take a second to really recommend free walking tours. These are something that we really recently started doing. We've done a few of them over some different big cities, and we love them. So we didn't do them for a while because we really thought, like, what's the catch? They can't be free. There's something, maybe they're not very good or something like that, but they're free. Well, you leave a tip at the end, but you get to decide how much you want to leave. They're usually given by a local person who lives here or is a student here or someone who grew up here, and they take you to all of the major areas within the city that are within walking distance and tell you all the history, some different fun facts, things that locals love about this area, and all the different things to do. We especially like doing them when we first get to a city so we know kind of what to hit up and what to see first. But these have been really great ways for us just to get a good overview of the city and learn some about it, and for a really good price. And I promise no one's paying us to say that. We just really, really love them and highly recommend them. So some of the things that we learned on our tour about this city of Ghent is that Ghent used to be a really major city here in Europe. It used to be a big trading center and used to have some different rulers living in this area.
Our tour guide was just telling us how this building right here has the oldest facade in the entire city, and is from the 12th century. It's where the grain storehouse was, because this is a really important grain center, but crazy, crazy old.
And then also, a lot of the things in this area, there are a lot of still old looking buildings, but a lot of them aren't original. They were restored, or new buildings were built to look like old buildings for the 1913 World's Fair, just to really dress up the city a little bit more.
So you can see that we're inside of Graffiti Street. There's just tons of spray paint that's all legal for art on the walls here. And it's kind of tucked down into an alley, so it's not like out in the city, but it gives a place for artists to have kind of like an outlet legally here in the city. And it's kind of neat seeing all the art everywhere, and they say they come paint over it every once in a while so they can have fresh walls to paint every single year.
In Brussels, there's the famous peeing boy statue, but they also have their own peeing boy statue that's a little less prominent here in Ghent, and it actually came before the one in Brussels. Our tour lasted about 2 hours, and there was so much history and facts and stories jam-packed into it, can't even recap all of it, but highly recommend these walking tours. So the next thing that we're gonna go do is finally get to see the castle. So let's go.
We're up on top of the castle right now. It is crazy windy, but you got a pretty cool view over the city, and they were talking about that's why it was built, was so that the count could have a building that, of course, was above all of the traders' buildings down below and their homes. You could look out over the city. It's a cool view, but it is super, super windy. There, so much better inside where we're outside of the wind. but we have an audio guide for this castle, and it's an amazing castle. Definitely like what you want when you visit a European castle. Like fully restored, huge, gray, dark, cool looking. And we have an audio guide that's telling us the history, but it's kind of cheesy, kind of meant for kids, and the stories are kind of, it's too much. Like, you just want the information, but they're trying to make it entertaining. So it's kind of fun, but overall, it's just really cool to look at. The audio guide is helping a little bit.
This is one of the weirder audio guides we've ever experienced. It's not as much like telling you the facts of what happened in the castle. There's a little bit of that, but it's more like trying to get you into the head of the people who lived here and like what they potentially could have felt and thought, but like not in a way that I feel like they did it very well.
You could even carry on a conversation because there are 2 poop holes here. You could feel the nice fresh air on your little bottom. You heard a satisfying splash when your small turds fell into the water. Your little bottom wasn't visible from the street, so it was nice and private. The only thing people saw from the street were the falling stools. But that was a bonus. There he was, peacefully doing a number 2, and for every turd that plunged into the water, the people applauded enthusiastically and gratefully.
It's like they're trying to put things, they're making tons of assumptions, I feel like. Weird assumptions.
When you've been fighting, conquering, and plundering all day long, you can't just suddenly start caressing and kissing a woman. If you've spent all day building cities, you can't start smashing it in bed at night. And reclaiming is, of course, the worst. When you've been out drying wetland all day, at night you can't just suddenly... Pour yourself and Elizabeth a glass of port, put some olives and cheese cubes on cocktail sticks, live it up a little together, and one thing will lead to another.
They're not giving any factual reasons for why for the reasons behind like what they're saying about all this stuff. Like if there were diaries, they're not, maybe there were, but they're not saying any of that in here. It just feels like they're just completely making up a soap opera on these audio guides. I mean, okay, maybe it's entertaining, but I think it's kind of weird. I want to learn like what actually happened here, so whatever.
You listen to a medieval soap opera.
Yeah, okay. If you're into that, this is the one for you.
One thing our tour guide did tell us though is there's a lot of dungeony and torture type things in this castle too. And I think everybody looks for a torture chamber in a castle. Supposedly we're going to get to one of those here. So that's what I'm holding out for.
We're finally in the torture chamber. They don't tell us what these different tools are used for, but just said to use your imagination. Ooh, they don't look good.
So the Graven Castle is really, really cool. It has everything you want in a castle. It has all of the suits of armor and all of the medieval weaponry, and everything is like fully restored, so you can walk around and really feel like, in a way, you're in the castle as it was, or what you picture a castle to be like. So it's really fun to check out. We're really glad that we were able to get tickets because it was sold out as we were leaving it. Even though the audio guides were a little bit quirky and unusual, they still kind of gave a fun atmosphere, and it kind of livened it up and made it young and fun, I guess, to kind of check out the castle and not just like a cold, just like history book that you were having to listen to. So that was kind of a neat aspect of it. Totally worth checking out. Really, really cool. One of the best castles that we have definitely visited.
So we just walked through the St. Bebos Cathedral, and we're a little disappointed because we got the times wrong, and the whole church is open until 6, but the famous Van Eyck painting, it's off in a different little area, that closes at 5.
So another never mind. Apparently you can't get into the cathedral on Sundays until 1 o'clock. I really thought I did a good job at actually planning this day. Apparently not so much.
So we missed that. But the rest of the church, the things that I found unique about it from other churches that we've seen like this was, to me it felt more like a museum. I think the way they had it roped off, and that there were some images that didn't have like an obvious religious meaning, which I feel like you don't normally see that in churches. It seemed like just regular paintings in there. Maybe they had some deeper meaning that I'm unaware of, but that was unique to me. And then also there were some images, some religious images that I feel like you don't normally see in these kinds of churches. Like there was some stained glass of Jesus as a carpenter. I feel like that's an image you don't really see very often. And there was also a big pulpit that had, kind of looked like the Garden of Eden, but there was the serpent really prominently displayed up there, which I feel like that's one you don't normally like see images of the serpent, especially that central in a cathedral. So we also didn't get to see the entire thing because the back half of it was closed off for construction. So we really just saw the first part of it, but still a really huge cathedral. The cathedral part, of course, is free like most churches are to walk through them, but you do have to pay to go see this famous Van Eyck painting. So today didn't go quite as planned. We had some things kind of scheduled out, but then everything kind of had to be shifted a little bit, but we still were able to see everything we wanted to see today. So this day was a perfect example of just being flexible when you're traveling. But we really enjoyed seeing Ghent. It feels to us kind of like a bigger Bruges, but really cool city. We're glad we got to stop in here, spend almost 24 hours, not even quite 24 hours here.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a larger city. And if you haven't seen our Bruges video, definitely go check that out because it's a lot smaller of kind of like a Belgian village canal place, I guess. Just, it felt different. But you should definitely go check that video out. And also, don't think that this is all that you can do in Ghent. There's a lot more here, and a lot of food that they're really famous for as well. We don't really like doing food on our videos very much, so we don't include that. But you definitely want to check out the waffles, the chocolate, the Ghent noses whenever you're here, all of those different things. And also, there's a lot more activities to do. This is just a quick stop for us here in Belgium, and we're really glad that we did. Really cool place to definitely check out. So, thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button. Also subscribe because we would love to continue showing you all of our adventures while we are living here in Europe.
Cheers!
A huge cathedral that was made famous. No, a huge cathedral that.
So some of the things that we learned on this particular walking tour of Ghent was.
Ghent used to be like a major.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is there someone coming? What else should I say? What's this called again?
St. Bebos Cathedral.
Okay. It's important. St. Bevo?
St. Bevo, yeah.
Okay. St. Bebos Cathedral and Majors is... Hold on, I stumbled. But the famous John Eck painting that... No, not John Eck. Van Eyck. Start over.
You're so good.
Thank you. Went a little differently than we expected, but we still